Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today for a obviously different kind of review. Not only a different kind of review, but a different kind of winter sport machine than I think we have ever seen before. This is an electric snow scooter slash upright snow machine, and it is a very interesting toy for those of you that maybe want something a little bit different than your traditional snowmobile or sled out in the middle of the snow. So today we're going to dive into what comes in the box, what it's like to put it together, what the ride quality is, the build and features of it, all those things, and I'll give you my conclusion at the end of the video. Let's start, however, by jumping in and taking a look at how it arrived at my house and what was required to get it ready to ride. All right, well, yesterday, this big monstrosity, which is the ICEX 1.0, was delivered to me. And so I'm going to give you a time lapse of unpacking to see what's inside the box and what is required to assemble it. Let's dive in and take a look. So actually the assembly itself, as you can see, was really straightforward and easy. It was just really a matter of taking it out of the box, standing it into the upright position, getting it charged up, and out we went. So let's talk a little bit about what we have got here in terms of the build and specifications of it. The main hub of all of this is right under the Caterpillar track at the back, and it is a 2,000 watt motor. Now, if you're talking about e-bikes, that sounds like it's massively powerful, but obviously running a Caterpillar track in snow is a whole lot different than trying to run an e-bike on pavement or even off-road. And so it definitely takes a lot more torque, a lot more power. And so I would say that this is probably a sufficient amount of power, but it's, as we're going to see, not necessarily overkill. The battery itself, kind of the battery design is like the skateboard style, really like what you see in a lot of EVs, in that the battery makes up the flat deck of the standing surface that you go on. It is a 52 volt, 23.4 amp hour battery. And if anything, I wish that battery were bigger. The top speed here is 15.6 miles per hour or 25 kilometers. Now, that doesn't sound particularly fast, and in some conditions it's not. However, if you are going down a fairly narrow trail through the woods, as I've done some, it's gonna feel like plenty under those conditions. And so it really depends on your actual riding environment. Probably going too much faster on something like this where you're just standing upright and exposed. Be sure to wear a helmet. May not be particularly smart anyway. Now the range is up to 37 miles or 60 kilometers. Now that's going to vary according to a lot of different factors. And from what I have seen in the kind of riding I've done, which has been in pretty difficult conditions because we're at the end of the season, far from optimal conditions, either very icy or right now I'm out on snow that has fallen, but it's also been freezing rain and ice and thawing. And so there's like a crust that really kind of binds things up on everything. So not like nice, soft, fresh powder. And so under those conditions, I would say you would be lucky to get anywhere near that range. In fact, if you're in the top speed, it's 25 miles. And so 25 to 37 miles, depending upon your riding conditions. The build quality seems to be very good. No problems with that. Everything seems to be tough. I was impressed as I took things out of the box. I've already had some pretty, as I've mentioned, been riding in tough conditions. So places where, you know, there was places where I ran into something that kind of bound me right up. And so lots of potential to put stresses on various things. Everything seems to be very tough at this point. The actual frame is a forged aluminum 6061. So, you know, good high strength. It is IPX4 rated. And so if you're not familiar with IPX rating, that means it is resistant to water splashes from any direction. Basically anything short of actually submerging it. It is water resistant in those conditions. Obviously pretty important considering where you're going to be riding it. It does have a reverse gear on it, which can be useful. I find that because you have to kind of lean into turns, you can only lean so far unless you're very, very good at balance. And so your turning radius isn't always as tight as what I would like. So having a reverse gear is useful. If you get into situations where you get stuck, you can reverse out. And it's a very simple tap right here to go into it, tap again to come back out of it. All of that is good. We have safety features, including a front headlight. We've got tail lights, and we even have turning signals on it. You can access those here on the left side along with the headlight itself, which can be turned on here. NALA approves. Payload capacity is 120 kilograms or 265 pounds. And obviously, you know, that's going to affect your range also, depending on how much weight you're putting on it. One thing I really do like is rather than having a single charge port, we actually have dual charge ports, and 2 chargers are included. And so if you're using just one charge port, which you can just plug into, you know, any 110 volt typical household plug, no problem there, and it'll take 8 hours to charge on that. However, if you connect both chargers up, you can dual charge in as little as 4 hours, which obviously is having your total charge time. That's very useful. And I found that it is easy to get it charged back up quickly on that. The machine itself, as you might imagine, isn't super light. It weighs in at 50 kilograms or 110 pounds. And so, I mean, I will comment a little bit more on the weight in a moment when we talk about transporting it and riding it. But fortunately, the way that the weight is distributed, it's not too bad. I haven't found it all that difficult. And it's good because, again, in the conditions I'm in, there's been some situations where, you know, I needed to pick up the rear track and, you know, shift that around, move it into a better condition, and so that I could keep on riding. So no problems there. Price. This baby isn't cheap. In the US market, it's $2,500 US right now, current pricing. Here in Canada, it's $4,700. And so here in Canada, there's definitely a price premium relative to the US pricing. And so, you know, it's an expensive toy. I don't know, everything about winter seems to be expensive in my opinion. But that gives you a look at the overall specifications. There is a nice LCD screen here at the top. It's kind of the size of like an iPhone SE maybe, and it has a lot of useful information on there. The safety features, I've still got them attached here right now, but the safety features to make sure that no one steals your expensive machine is that it does require the specified smart NFC chips, which you can throw onto a keychain. They do include 3 different ones, and you just, when you go to power it on, it will ask for that NFC. You just tap that to the screen and it lets you in. So there's no key, but there is these smart cards. And so make sure that you don't lose them. However, if you do lose them, you do have a couple of backups. That gets you into the LCD screen, and there's lots of useful information that is on there. So that gives you a look at the overall build and design. One thing I will say before we move away from this section, the grip surface that you stand on, I'm surprised that it doesn't have more grip to it. It's kind of like a rubberized mat, and it does, you know, to touch it, it is grippy, but it's not ridged or any kind of like sandpaper type quality. And so what I find is that when I'm riding along and I'm throwing my foot down in the snow and packing snow into the treads of my boots, after a while it does get a little slippery. Right now with my treads basically empty, it grips nice, but if you got snow in those treads, it's a little more slippery than what I would like. But so far so good when it comes to the overall build here. It feels tough. It feels like you can ride for a while without worrying about it falling apart. All good. So how about the ride performance? Well, first of all, I think the first challenge for a lot of people is going to be getting it to the place where you want to ride it on. And so I would say this probably works easiest, best for those that have a property where you could ride it right on your own property, maybe back into a trail system that's attached to your house. If you're gonna have to transport it, you know, it does, as we noted, it does weigh 110 pounds. But what I found is that because of the nature of this frame and the fact that a lot of the weight is here in the battery at a midpoint, it's actually quite easy, even for me by myself, to put it into the back of my truck. Simply lift the front end up and, you know, start slide that in, lift the back end up, and then push it forward. Very easy there. And it also is very, very simple to actually disconnect and to lay that flat. And so it's a well-designed system that's very robust, and so easy to lock that into place, but also easy to collapse it down and to lock it into place, and so that you can use it for transport. Now, when you get it to site, and I'll give you a few caveats before I talk about the actual ride experience. I wish I would have gotten this earlier in the season. Obviously, we have a lot of winter around here. I've had snow on the ground for over 5 months at this point. Unfortunately, by the time that they are actually getting to release, and they Eunorau sent me one of these, we're very close to the end of the season, and so unfortunately we've had mostly ice some thawing during the day. And so my first time taking it out, I was on pure ice, so slippery that I couldn't hardly walk on it. So it was good news that I could even ride it in that conditions. And as I noted here today, we have had some snow, but unfortunately I was away in Arizona where, thank God, I got away from the snow for a while. But returning, there had been some new snowfall, but there had also been some freezing rain and ice on top of that, some thawing during the day because of the sunlight. And so unfortunately, it's kind of tough conditions because it's not easy for anything with a ski or a sled to actually cut through, because you're having to cut through a crust like this all along. And so not great conditions for that. And so I take my remarks on riding with a grain of salt. I think in more ideal conditions, it could be even more fun than what I would like. Now, when it comes to actually riding this, you need to think less of something like an ATV where it's, all planted and stable, and a little bit more like a dirt bike, in that there's a lot of room for leaning on this. So it does require some balance and kind of getting a feel for the actual ride quality. And so, once you start to get a feel for that, that does actually help with the maneuverability. And again, we played around with it in more icy conditions, kind of throwing and spinning out the rear end, and you can have some fun with it in that. And I think that that's where a lot of the fun is. One of the things that I actually envision this being useful for is kind of breaking trail for, again, if you have trails, a lot of trails are more usable in the winter if a snowmobile, a sled goes over them and kind of packs them down a little bit. So your initial run through, at least in conditions like this, is a little bit of a tough slog, and it will get stuck at times. And so, when I took off the helmet here after, riding it over the last hour, I was sweaty because there was times as I was kind of setting up the trail, I would get stuck. I'd have to use, elbow grease to get it moving forward. Once I had one pass over and I rode back over it again, things got much, much easier. And because it is fairly narrow, you've got a footprint that's only about 20 inches wide. I could go through the woods on pretty much a goat track. I wasn't trying to go fast because it's a little bit of a wild and harrowing experience to do that, but it allowed me to punch through to where there was actually a snowmobile trail that was out there. And once I got on that trail, obviously I could then start to approach the top speeds and move in a lot more optimal conditions because it had already been packed down. So if you're going through deep powder, I would say anything that is approaching like a foot of powder, it's probably going to be challenging to break trail with this. It just doesn't have the bulk and weight to do it. And obviously these sleds at the front, it's going to be, somewhat easy to get them kind of burrowed down. And if the weight is off, it means that the caterpillar track at the end could end up spinning, as you can see here. This does have a full suspension, so the ride's actually pretty decent. You can go up some bumps and up and down without, it kind of jarring through you. And so all of that was good. It is fairly maneuverable, but you have to be comfortable leaning to some degree. Now, if you're looking at this thinking, oh, I can imagine myself doing big jumps and things like that, well, let's take a look at that. I tried to set up those conditions to see what it was like. And so again, on that first pass through the fresh snow, as I started to go uphill, this has a hard time both cutting trail and going uphill at the same time. And so that was a bad combination. And so first pass, not so successful. Second pass, as I had something packed down a little bit more successful. And by the third and fourth runs, I could go up and down fairly steep inclines and do it successfully. But again, you almost have to have a bit of grooming in advance to do that successfully. But it's never going to be so fast you're going to be able to do these big flying jumps. I'm not sure I'd want to do that anyway. I mean, it does feel like it's sturdily built, but it's a big investment. I wouldn't want to bang it up unnecessarily. Your mileage may vary. You're maybe much more of a risk taker than me, so that's up to you. Just wear your helmet. Now, if you're on a wide trail and a straight run without a whole lot going on, you're going to wish for more speed in that condition. And when you get it up to max speed, you're going to wish that you could put it up into another gear or two that has 3 different runs that you can go to. And so as you're actually over here on the right side, once it is powered up and you're into it, you have the option of, it has PAS 1, 2, and 3, 3 being the top. And so that you can, kind of choose accordingly. When I was breaking trail, it was more effective to keep it in 1, and so I'm not adding too much thrust at the end. It's more likely to spin out under those conditions and not be able to break trail successfully. So at the end of the day, it is a lot of fun. It's fun in the right conditions, however, and so I think you need to have realistic expectations, as I've tried to prepare you for when you think about what you're going to be able and not able to do on this. So what's my conclusion? It's a little bit of a complicated review for me because, as I mentioned earlier, I wish that I'd gotten it earlier in the season where I could use it in more optimal conditions. And unfortunately, it's a little late for that this year, and I'm probably not going to see those conditions again. So I do think that this is going to be fun. As far as practicality, I don't know that it's necessarily a hugely practical thing, but what winter toy is necessarily. And so this is for someone that wants to have a different kind of fun. Maybe you don't want to go the full investment in a sled, or maybe you don't even have access to those kind of conditions, and you just want something to kind of jet around maybe on your property or ride some trails on, do things like that. I think that it works fine for that application. But I do kind of feel like, at least from what I've been able to experience, this is a first generation of this kind of product. I think we're just kind of on the brink of the electrifying of, winter sports and all of those activities. And there are going to be challenges that come with that. Winter is a cold season. Cold and batteries is not necessarily an easy combination. And so I think there's going to be some challenges to overcome. There's also going to be this tension for all of these designers in being able to engineer the heaviest part component here, which is going to be the batteries, to find that balance between weight of the machine and then also giving you speed and range. I do question whether or not people that are true kind of adrenaline junkies are going to find this fast enough. I think that, in certain conditions it is fast enough, but if you're out on an open trail kind of going along, it's going to feel like you wish that there was more speed to it. And also I think that in certainly some conditions, like the way I've ridden today, you can burn through the battery fairly quickly, and there's no way that I'd actually be achieving that 25 mile, even the bottom 25 mile range with what I've had to do today in terms of breaking the snow and getting through there. And so after riding it around for about an hour and only going 4 or 5 miles at this point, according to the odometer, my battery's sitting at 47% at this point. So obviously in certain conditions, you're going to deplete that battery more quickly than what you would like. And so I think that those are two of the main challenges to overcome here. But at the same time, I'm really glad to see new things like this. I've been hoping to see the electrification of things like snow blowers, and they're coming, but they're still not quite to the level of what we were able to see from, gas-powered internal combustion in the past. And so I'm hoping to see more like this in the future. So I'm really glad to see the product come, but it does feel like a first generation product in some ways. I feel like they're going to grow in sophistication as time goes by. In the meantime, however, if you're really interested in the idea of having a snow scooter and getting out and having some fun even when the conditions are rough, check out the Eunorau ICEX 1.0. And I'll throw some links in the description down below where you can do a little bit more research and check it out for yourself. Hopefully this review has helped you, since there isn't really any reviews of this out here at the moment, and so give you a little bit of insight on what's going on. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and let the light in.